there is a communist agenda to go after America. There's always been, right? Maybe the Cold War ended, but nobody believes that there isn't a communist attempt to spread across the world still and into the United States. And so, you can look up a document that was written in 1958 and translated in the early 60s by Leon Skousen, who listed a bunch of ways where it's the communist agenda was going to infiltrate into American society. And more than half of those points actually talk about education. Some of it also talks about the breaking of the family, which is a typical communist action. A lot of it talks about the destruction of art and beauty, which is another very typical action that is done by communists. And more than half of those points are to basically take over our educational institutions. There has also been a Brazilian influencer who somehow became a fascination of administrators of colleges in the United States, specifically teacher colleges. Paulo Freire, he, for some strange reason, and maybe a nefarious reason, maybe he was supported, became incredibly influential on American universities, specifically in teacher colleges.
Okay.
And his what Pablo's main statement was, it was that the job of an educator is to actually produce a student activist who will make the world a better place. And so what Pablo said was, you know what? You don't need to worry about math and literacy, and ultimately they're going to learn all these things anyway. But the real opportunity here is to shape a child's mind, and to shape a child's mind to become more progressive and to be a student activist and then a lifelong activist through these schools. And that idea, that ideology penetrated into the schools and through the teacher colleges into the K through 12th grade schools.
Do you know what decade this guy was? I haven't heard of him before. So do you know what decade
I would probably say that it became more and more popular in the 70s and in the 80s.
Okay.
And at first it was fringe. And then, like many of the academic things that we see, they became more and more mainstream.
Yeah.
And so it was a perfect storm. And I would say that what really lit a fire to the storm and the radicalization of American schools, and when I say radicalization is just a very, very sharp left turn, not even a middle left turn, was when the teachers' unions, there are two major teacher unions in America. One is the American Federation of Teachers. It has about 2.7 million members. And the other one is the National Educators Assembly, the NEA, also over 2 million members. When those teachers' unions got a lot of power with the establishment of the Department of Education. And so those teachers' unions were not nearly as powerful before we had a Department of Education in the United States, which, by the way, a Department of Education that is federally mandated. It shouldn't be a federal mandate, but they made it a federal mandate, and it's through Jimmy Carter, that is quite unique to the United States of America. Most other countries do not have a Department of Education, but America made a political deal. So Jimmy Carter was running for office, and he realized that he needed to get votes. And one great way to get a lot of votes very quickly is to get union members to support him. The teachers' unions, the NEA in particular, made a deal with Jimmy Carter. And they basically said, look, we will get our teachers behind you. They will know all about you. They will realize that you're a pro-teacher president. And in return, we want a Department of Education. Because up until now, nobody wanted a Department of Education in America, up until that point. And Jimmy Carter took the deal, and the NEA supported him. He got elected, and the Department of Education was established. Ronald Reagan tried to abolish the Department of Education, but at that point, they became so big and so powerful because it was an engine where you had an outside group helping get politicians elected, while you had politicians from the outside support these groups, right? And so they created this perfect circle. And then with the teachers' unions, who up until recent years mandated in many states that any teacher that teaches in a government school has to pay dues to the teachers' unions, right? But not until, less than 10 years ago was this made illegal to force a teacher to become part of the teachers' union, which was ridiculous if you think about it. Teachers were actually, when I was a teacher, we were forced to pay union dues. You couldn't get out of it. And so imagine this, you have teachers who work for the government forced to pay money into the teachers' union, and the teachers' union making promises to elected officials that they would get support from the teachers, and the teachers would then go ahead and vote for them. And they just created this insane cycle. And so when you ask, when did the American classroom become incredibly politicized?
Yeah.
And when did it become so bold? That was around the time of Jimmy Carter.
Well,